So now that we have understood what is basically a stack, heap, a value type and a reference type, let's try to understand what is boxing and unboxing. Because the concept of boxing and unboxing falls in line with value types and reference types. So what we'll do in this video is that we'll first try to understand the concept of boxing and unboxing. We will write a simple sample code which demonstrates boxing and unboxing. We will see that how the IL code looks like. So once we have a sample code which demonstrates boxing and unboxing, we'll try to see a sample IL code of it and we'll try to see that how it looks like. And finally, we'll talk about performance implications which are caused because of boxing and unboxing. Now, here's a simple method we have called as method 1. And it has 3 lines of code. In the first line, we are creating an integer data type I and we are setting it to value 1. In the second line, we are moving this I value to an object data type. Now, object data type is nothing but it's basically your parent, your parent object, which object type which has been inherited by all your .NET components. So every .NET object you create, right, always inherits from the object class. So we are moving the integer I value to a object O. In the third line, what we are doing is that we are going vice versa. We are moving the object value to a integer data type. We have created a integer data type called a J, and we are moving the O value to the J data type. Now, boxing means basically when you move a value type to a reference type, it is called as a boxing. So the second line is basically demonstrating boxing. So you can see that over here we are moving the value type to a reference type. Reference type means it's an object. So we are moving I value to the O, which is nothing but an object. So when you set or when you actually move a value to a reference type, when you actually set up a value type to a reference type, it is called as boxing. The third line of code basically demonstrates unboxing. In unboxing, we set the reference types to value types. So over here we are actually moving the O value to a value type which is nothing but your integer J. So boxing means basically you set a value type to a reference type, and unboxing means you set basically a reference type to a value type. The best way to remember is remember the word VR. So when you move from value type to reference type, it is boxing, and when it is from reference type to value type, it is unboxing. Now what we'll do is that we'll create a simple sample code which because over here it's just a PowerPoint presentation. So we'll open Visual Studio, we'll create a simple sample code and we'll see that how IL code looks like. And finally, we'll try to understand the implications of boxing and unboxing from the performance aspect. And let's click on File, Open, and let's paste the path here. And I can see the console application 1.exe, and let's open it. Now, we have written the code in static void main. So let's expand the node of ILDSM and let's go to static void main, and let's see how the IL code looks like. Now you can see over here there's a word called as box, which indicates your second line of code from your static void main function, and there is a word called as unbox, which indicates where you have moved the object type to a value type. So basically you can see that how the IL code translates your boxing and unboxing code to a MSIL. Okay, now that we have understood how the boxing and unboxing code looks in the IL code, let's try to see that are there any performance implications when we move from value type to reference types and from reference type to value types. And let's click on File, Open, and let's paste the path here. And I can see the console application 1.exe, and let's open it. Now we have written the code in static void main. So let's expand the node of ILDSM and let's go to static void main, and let's see how the IL code looks like. Now you can see over here there's a word called as box, which indicates your second line of code from your static void main function. And there is a word called as unbox, which indicates where you have moved the object type to a value type. So basically you can see that how the IL code translates your boxing and unboxing code to a MSIL. Okay, now that we have understood, how the boxing and unboxing code looks in the IL code, let's try to see that are there any performance implications, when we move from value type to reference types, and from reference type to value types. As a good programming practice, we should always try to avoid boxing and unboxing as far as possible because it leads to performance degradation. Said and done that, it is highly impossible to avoid boxing and unboxing. For example, when you move your values from your .NET code to the UI objects like text boxes and combo boxes, there is always boxing happening. And when you move your values back from the UI objects to your .NET data types like integers and doubles and booleans, always there is unboxing happening. And it is very difficult to avoid this situation because definitely you would like to collect data from the user interface, etc. So it's difficult to avoid boxing and unboxing. What you can do is, as a good programming practice, you should try to minimize wherever possible boxing and unboxing. So what we'll do over here is, we'll try to demonstrate that how basically boxing and unboxing leads to performance degradation, and and what are the implications of boxing and unboxing. So here's what we will do for demonstrating how basically boxing and unboxing affects our performance. I have created a simple function here called as box, and in this box function what I'm doing is I'm moving the value type to a reference type. So you can see that basically I have created a simple variable with a integer variable with the I name, and I'm assigning 1 to 3 value to it, and then I'm pushing that value to the object. And I have also created a simple variable assignment which is without boxing. So here you can see that I have created again the same thing. I've created a integer I variable which is assigned 1 to 3, but this time I'm moving this I variable to an integer. So this function box basically does boxing, and the simple variable assignment, it basically does there is no unboxing and boxing happening here. It's just that the values are assigned on the stack and new copies are created. Now what we'll do is both of these functions we will call in a loop 10,000 times. So you can see that over here I have a simple loop here. I have created a button called as button unbox at box, and I'm basically looping. I'm calling the box function 10,000 times. And what I've done is I basically use the stopwatch function which belongs to system.diagnostic in order to measure how much elapsed time will this routine take to, or will this execution take. And in the same way I'm also calling up the simple variable assignment function which has no boxing in it, and this function also I'm calling 10,000 times, and I'm measuring the performance using the stopwatch. So let's run this project and let's see what happens and how the performance looks like for the boxing function, and as well as for the function which doesn't have any kind of boxing execution. So let's run the project, and you can see that basically we have 2 buttons here as we have discussed. The top button will call the box function 10,000 times, while the bottom button will call the simple variable assignment function 10,000 times. So here we have boxing happening, and here we have simple variable assignments. Now if I run the top one, it has taken like approximately 2.142 milliseconds, and here it is like 3.427 milliseconds. Just to ensure that our measurements are proper, let's run this routine again, because there are a lot of startup things which happens when actually the first time your code runs. So let's run this 2 or 3 times just to ensure that the recordings are proper, so that we don't have